Oh, hit record right when a plane shows up to ruin another Earl video. Get that guy's license plate. I'm gonna report him. So I'm gonna tell a bike messenger story, and it's one of the ways Earl annoys people too. Like Fu, you asked about. I said I'm part joy, part annoyance. He's like, you don't annoy me, and I'm like, well, not yet, Fu. I will eventually. So I thought I'd tell a story of annoying somebody. It's a bike messenger story. So I got behind this guy. And he's a coworker of mine, and we're riding down the street, and I'm coasting, and I'm just catching every light, catching every green. He's pedaling and catching every red. He's jumping red light after red light after red light, and eventually we showed up at the same place. We're going to the same spot, and I say, hey man, how's it going? He's like, good. He seemed like in a good mood, and I'm like, oh well, I might, you know, we have a good relationship, and we're both professionals. I think I'll mention my observation. So I said, hey, we were both going to the same spot, and you'll notice we arrived at the same time. He's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, but you ran every light from Columbia all the way down here, and you were pedaling, and I was coasting, and I got every green light, and we arrived at the same spot. And he's like, are you trying to tell me how to ride my bike? And I'm like, whoa. And I'm like, I'm just telling you my observation. You know, it seems to me that you add risk, but you don't add benefit when you run lights, and that's my professional opinion, and I'm sharing it with you. So, you know, not really telling you how to ride your bike. I didn't say don't do that. I'm just saying my observation is you add risk, you don't add benefit. And and he ended up leaving town like weeks after that, and he was angry at me the entire time, almost furious. And I'm like, I cannot believe that my saying that to him made him so angry that it would border on fury. And I don't know, it was like a month later, I was talking to his best friend, and hold on a second. How's it going?
Fine. How are you?
Real good.
Yeah.
I talked to his best friend, and I say, hey, how's so-and-so doing? He's like, oh, really good, you know, moved into this place and starting a new job. He moved to another state. And then he kind of paused for a moment. He's like, you know, it's kind of funny you'd ask about him. You know, because you guys don't get along. And I'm like, oh, we do get along. I like the guy. I think that something happened when I talked to him about running red lights that I just rubbed him the wrong way. And he bursted out laughing. And I go, what? What's so funny? And he's like, well, that was why he moved. And I'm like, what? He moved because I talked to him about running red lights? And he's like, no. He's like, the very next day after that talk, he rode through like 14 red lights, and a cop saw him at the very first one and followed him for every single red light. The ticket was gigantic, way more than he could afford. And he was furious at me for almost like giving him like a warning beforehand for some reason. Like he was misplacing his anger, and then he was angry at the cop for not pulling him over at the very first light. And so misplacing his anger yet again, like the responsibility for his actions and the repercussions. And then that was why he left Oregon. He moved because he couldn't afford to pay those tickets. So because of his choices ended up controlling him. Like, well, maybe they're not even his choices. And yeah, he probably deeply annoyed with me to this day. All right, bike messenger story for you. Seen the tubes.